She sacrificed everything for her son until she overheard the truth. What she does next will make you rethink love, loyalty, and revenge. Stay till the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life betrayals. I sat at the kitchen table, clutching the house documents that once meant family. My hands trembled, not from anger, but from the kind of sorrow that steals your breath. I could hear my son, Marcus, talking on the phone in the next room. His voice was light, full of joy. "Yeah, baby, it's official. The house is ours. Miss Clara will finally have that garden view room she's always wanted." Miss Clara. His mother-in-law. My heart stopped cold. The room with the garden view was supposed to be mine. Marcus kept talking, his voice cheerful. "Nah, baby, my mom's fine where she is. You know how she gets, always fussing. It's better this way, more peaceful for everyone. More peaceful." That's what they called cutting me out. I stared at the walls of my small apartment, the same ones I'd planned to leave behind. 6 months ago, Marcus had begged me for help. "Mama, it's the perfect place. Just $20,000 for the down payment. You'll always have a room with us, promise." I remembered writing those exact words in my journal. "You'll always have a place with us." Now, hearing him call another woman's mother family, those words cut like broken glass. I stood up, staring out at the rain streaking the window. For 25 years, I'd worked double shifts as a secretary, saving every penny, skipping vacations, wearing shoes till they cracked, so my son could have security. And now? Now I was a burden to his peace. When Marcus walked in, smiling like nothing had happened, I tucked the papers away and forced a calm smile. "Everything's ready, Mama," he said. "We're moving next week. New chapter." "That's wonderful, son," I replied. He kissed my forehead, the same gentle kiss he'd given me since childhood, but it felt like betrayal. When he left, I sat in silence. The papers lay in my drawer beside old bills and forgotten dreams. Something inside me shifted, cold, deliberate, sharp as the rain outside. That night, I couldn't sleep. Instead, I made a list. Every dollar I'd ever given Marcus, $2,000 for the used car, $10,000 for the kids' school. PAT, $700 for his wife Lena's dentist. CATA20, $20,000 for the house. $48,000 in total. My entire life savings poured into a son who now spoke of me as hard to live with. When he called the next morning, I answered with an even voice. "Mama, hey. Listen, can you help us with just a little more? Movers, paint, some furniture. $3,000 should cover it." $3,000. From the same woman he'd just erased. "When do I get to see the house, Marcus?" I asked. A pause. It's still messy, Mama. "We'll take you once it's ready. And when do I move in?" Longer pause. "Mama, Lena's been stressed. Maybe it's better if you stay where you are, just until things settle." I stared at the faded wallpaper. Stay where I am. The house I paid for wasn't my home. "Let me think about the money," I said. "Think about it?" "Mama, since when do you need to think about helping family?" Since the moment I realized family was a one-way street. I hung up, my heart steady now. Not broken focused. The moment I hung up, I realized something powerful. Silence could be an answer too. For years, I'd rushed to save Marcus before he even finished asking. But that morning, as the sun hit my faded curtains, I decided I wouldn't lift another finger, not until I saved myself. I sat down at my old computer, the one Marcus set up so I wouldn't feel lonely. I logged into my bank account and stared at the numbers, only $2,300 left after giving him the down payment. My chest tightened, but not from fear, from clarity. I picked up the phone and called the bank. "Good morning," I said. "I need to remove my son from my accounts and cancel his card." The banker hesitated. "Is there a reason, ma'am?" "Yes. I've been financing my own exclusion." When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't in years control. I wasn't the helpless, emotional mother anymore. I was a woman making deliberate moves. I spent the next 2 hours reorganizing my papers. My will, written 3 years earlier, left everything to Marcus. My apartment, insurance, savings, even my mother's jewelry. I'd done it out of love, but now it felt like a reward for betrayal. The phone rang again. Marcus, of course. "Mama, did we get cut off? What happened?" "We didn't get cut off, son." "I'll call you in a few days." "But Mama, we need the money tomorrow. Then you better find a new plan." I turned the phone off before he could respond. For 3 days, it stayed off. 27 missed calls, 15 messages. All the same tone, pretend concern wrapped in entitlement. "Mama, please call me. I'm worried." "Dolores, it's Lena. Are you okay?" "Grandma, Daddy says you're sick." Sick. That's what he told the kids. Because in his world, if I wasn't giving, I must be dying. But then came the message that sealed it. "Mama, if this is about the house, we can talk. Just help us with the move first, then we'll fix the rest." Fix the rest. As if my entire existence were an item on his to-do list. That morning, I got dressed in my best blouse and headed to the bank. The walk there felt different, like every step was reclaiming a piece of me. The teller, a woman about my age, smiled when she saw me. "Miss Johnson, what can I do for you today? I'd like to open a new savings account separate from my current one. Transfer $10,000 into it. Any reason?" "Yes, I'm learning to trust myself with my own future." She nodded quietly, no questions asked. When I walked out, the sky looked brighter. $10,000 in an account only I knew about, untouchable. Mine. At noon, I met with the lawyer the bank recommended. His name was Mr. Carter, a patient man with kind eyes. "So you wish to update your will?" "Yes. My son no longer inherits everything." I told him about the 48,000, the manipulation, the betrayal disguised as love. He took notes without interrupting. "You're not alone," he said softly. "We see this a lot. Would you like to leave your estate to charities, perhaps?" "Yes. Especially ones that help older women like me, those who've given too much." We discussed conditions too, rules that would make Marcus earn any share he might receive. But in the end, I shook my head. No conditions. Love shouldn't need contracts. When I left his office, I didn't go straight home. I stopped by a small diner I used to pass every day on my way to work. For years, I'd thought eating alone meant loneliness. Today, it felt like freedom. I ordered salmon, vegetables, and a glass of white wine. $35, and worth every cent. As I ate, I thought of all the years I'd settled for less, the smaller portions, the cheaper brand, the smaller life. But I was done shrinking. My phone buzzed again. "Mama, I'm coming over at 4. We need to talk." I smiled faintly and checked the time, 31:15. 45 minutes to prepare for the confrontation I'd avoided my whole life. When I got home, I didn't rush to clean or fix my hair. I just sat in my favorite chair by the window. At 4 o'clock sharp, I heard the knocking, loud, impatient. Marcus stood there, his wife beside him, both wearing masks of concern. "Mama, thank God you're okay." "We were so worried." "Hello, Lena," I said. "You caused me more distress this week than I ever caused you." Marcus blinked, confused. "Mama, what are you talking about? We're family. Family talks to each other, not about each other." "You planned my future without me. You called me a burden. A problem to manage." His face paled. "Mama, that's not what, it's exactly what happened." He looked helpless, like the boy he used to be when he broke a vase and didn't want to admit it. "We can fix this," he pleaded. "You can move in." "We'll make it work." "No," I said quietly. "You want me now because you're afraid. You don't love me, you just don't want to lose access to me." Lena opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. "I am not the Bank of Evelyn. I am not your safety net. The 3,000 you need? Find it somewhere else." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, please. I've been your please for 40 years, I said. Today, I'm mine." He stood frozen, unable to move. Then finally he and Lena turned and left. The door clicked shut. The silence that followed didn't ache, it healed. For the first time in decades, I leaned back, exhaled, and whispered to myself, I'm free. When the echo of their footsteps faded down the hall, I stood in the middle of my small apartment, surrounded by quiet. Not the heavy, lonely kind that once used to crush me, but a new kind. A quiet that felt earned. I poured myself a cup of tea and sat by the window. The same window where I'd once stared out, wondering if my life had already ended while I was still breathing. Now it looked like the start of something new. My phone sat on the table, finally back on. A dozen new messages pinged one after another, but I ignored them all. I'd said everything that needed saying. Marcus might never forgive me. Maybe he'd twist the story, tell people his mother turned cold or crazy. Maybe his wife would call me ungrateful. But I didn't owe them my reputation anymore. I owed myself peace. That afternoon, I decided to go for a walk. I slipped on my coat, grabbed my bag, and headed outside. The sun was warm on my face. The air smelled like rain had just ended. Down the block, children laughed, and for the first time in years, I didn't flinch at the sound. I walked to the park, the one I'd taken Marcus to when he was a boy. There was an old oak tree there that I used to sit under, watching him play with a stick like it was a sword. I sat on the same bench now, alone but not lonely. I watched people pass, couples, joggers, an old man feeding pigeons. It struck me that I'd spent my entire life being useful to others. I'd never stopped to ask if anyone was useful to me. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Leon, an old friend from church who used to call me Sunshine because I smiled even when life gave me clouds. Hey, Evelyn, haven't seen you in a while. You okay? I smiled. Better than okay. Want to grab coffee? He laughed. You're buying? No, I said, chuckling softly. We're splitting the bill this time. That small promise felt bigger than any apology I could ever give my past self. Later that week, I met with Mr. Carter again. He handed me the new draft of my will, simple, clean, final. Half to charities supporting elderly women in need, the rest to a scholarship fund for single mothers going back to school. When I signed it, I felt no guilt, only peace. Mr. Carter looked at me and said, "You've made a brave choice, Miss Provitt. Johnson, most people don't get to rewrite their endings." I'm not rewriting my ending, I told him. I'm writing my beginning. That evening, I treated myself to dinner at a small Italian restaurant near the waterfront. The waiter smiled when I asked for a table for one. I sipped my wine, feeling the city hum around me. There was no family photo on my table, no phone buzzing for money, no guilt gnawing at the corners of my conscience. Just me, and that was enough. When I got home, I found a letter slipped under my door. Marcus's handwriting. I hesitated before opening it. Mama, I don't know how to fix what I broke. I know I hurt you. I see now what you've done for me. Things I didn't deserve. I don't want your money. I just want a chance to do better. Marcus. I sat for a long time reading the words again and again. There was no apology big enough to erase the years, but at least it was a start. I placed the letter in my drawer next to the house papers that once symbolized loss, now just paper and ink. I didn't know if Marcus would really change, but I finally understood something important. I didn't need him to. Because the power I'd given away for decades, through guilt, through love, through habit, was mine again. As the night deepened, I looked at my reflection in the window. 69 years old, lines on my face, strength in my eyes. I whispered to the woman staring back, "You made it." And for the first time, the reflection smiled back, not because she was needed, but because she was free. If this story hit you deep, if you've ever given too much and finally learned to choose yourself, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share it. More stories like this are coming. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's peace.